Good morning, everyone. My name is Ella from NCJR, and welcome. We're so glad you could join us for today's NCJR webinar, Leveraging Social Media for Real Estate Success. We're excited to welcome Katie Lance, a nationally recognized speaker, trainer, and real estate marketing expert. Katie has helped thousands of agents and brokers navigate the ever-changing digital landscape with practical strategies that make social media technology and AI easier to understand and implement. Katie, we're thrilled to have you with us today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ella, and thank you everyone for being with us today. We're excited to be back. This is part two of a three-part series that we are hosting with NCJAR. So welcome, welcome. As you guys are tuning on in, I can see there's a lot of you here. I would love for you to comment in the chat, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from, let us know you can hear us okay. And the way this webinar is set up is we are set up webinar style, which means we are on camera, and you're not on camera, which is always nice. But that means you can use the chat box here to type in the chat if you have questions. And like I said, I would love to hear where you're tuning in from. Would love to say hi. I see Randy is in the house. Welcome. Good to see you tuning in from Morristown, New Jersey. Fantastic. I am tuning in from the West Coast. I am out in California, so not sure how the weather is your way. I know spring is upon us, so hopefully you're starting to see some sunshine your way. Hey Jack, good to see you from Westfield. Hello Leslie, welcome. Good to see you. So my name is Katie Lance. I'm the founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting and the Get Social Smart Academy. I'm author of the book Get Social Smart. And today we're going to talk about how to leverage social media for real estate professionals. Obviously a big topic. We've been teaching in this space for quite some time. I've been in business now 13 years, and we've helped thousands of agents all over the world get smarter about social media. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. I can see lots of you chatting. Hello, Anne. Manuel is here. Kimberly, good to see you. Gerald, Carol, welcome, welcome, welcome. Excited to have you guys here today. If you're not familiar with me and my background, again, I'm Katie Lance, founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting and the Get Social Smart Academy. I'm happily married. I have two teenage boys who keep me very busy. Yeah, you can see a little family picture on the screen there. We're a big Disney family. The picture was a couple years old. They're much taller than me now. They are in high school and yeah, keeping me very busy. I work side by side with my husband, Paul. We've been married 24 years. We've been in business together 13 years. So partners in life, partners in business. I'm a speaker, author, and I just share a lot of that with you because at the end of the day, I really feel like time is our most precious asset. And I shared this in our last class as well. At the end of the day, none of us got into business for ourselves so we could work 80 hours a week. And so when we think of social media should not take hours upon hours of our day or our week or a month. I think when done right, social media can be a great way to stay in touch with people. It can be a great way to attract new people, but it's also not the end all and be all. So we're going to share some of my best tips and tools and strategies, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. Hello, Joanne. Joanna, good to see you. Victoria, welcome. Uh, Randy, I believe part one is on the YouTube channel for NCJAR. And maybe Ella, if you can type in the chat and let people know where they can find the replay for part one. Oh, it's up on their website. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Um, cool. Yep. So the link is on their website. Fantastic. I would also love to connect with you guys on Instagram if you are at a place where you can take out your phone and scan this QR code. Scan this, give me a follow, and send me a message. Let me know you were on this webinar today. I would love to connect with you. I would love to follow you back. And as we go through training today, if you hear a nugget, if you hear something that gets you fired up, feel free to take out your phone, take a screenshot, take a picture, take a selfie if you're in the office with a few friends, a few colleagues, post it, tag me. I always say, look at your life as content, right? As you're out and about, this is content right here. You're taking an hour out of your day to educate yourself for your clients. This is a great opportunity to share as we go through our time here together today. All right, so this is our three-part series. Our last part was understanding AI in the real estate landscape. Today, we're going to really dig into social media for real estate success. And today, I'm really going to cover on Facebook. We're going to talk about Instagram. We're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. And then we're going to talk about kind of putting a strategy together. And then part three, coming up in a few weeks, we're really going to dig into the content creation process. So that'll be more about video editing, content that really helps to attract people, what's working, what's not working. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And like I said, feel free to use the chat box as we go through our training here today. So I want to first start off with a few stats. These are some interesting stats from NAR, from the National Association of Realtors. There's a few graphs that I thought were kind of interesting that have come out over the past few years. And if you've been in real estate any period of time, I'm sure you've seen all different types of charts and graphs from NAR. But this is one that came out that talked about active use of social or professional networking websites. And you can see right up at the top, Facebook is really at the top. Then we have LinkedIn, followed by Instagram, and it goes down from there. I would love to hear from those of you who are watching live. What platform are you most active on? If you can type in the chat, if you're driving, don't do this. But if you are at your office or you're at home, if you could type in the chat, let me know, where are you spending the most time? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn, Instagram? Is it YouTube? Is it Twitter? Is it Pinterest, TikTok? Is it something that's maybe not listed on here? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of Facebooks, few Instagrams, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Okay. Cool. So that's perfect. You're in the right place because those are the three big ones that we're going to cover today. Obviously, there's more than just those three, but what we have found is really the three big ones that most agents are on, and also not just that you're on, but that your clients, potential clients, often are the most often on right now are Facebook, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. Hey, Sylvia, good to see you. Mainly use Instagram. Okay, awesome. Good, good, good. So the other thing I thought was kind of kind of eye-opening was this other chart around technology and realtors and business generated from realtors. Now this was back in 2022, so these numbers might be skewed just a little bit, but when it came to where are realtors getting their business from social media, and are they getting business from social media? 48% of realtors were not getting business from social media. Half. Which, on one hand, is a little crazy to me, but on the other hand, I could also understand that. I know for a lot of agents, they get a lot of their business from past clients, their sphere of influence, referrals, and so social media sometimes becomes this kind of bolt on, or it's sort of bolted onto their business when they have time, and it sort of happens sporadically. You can see kind of the numbers go down from there. 1 to 5% is 20%, 6 to 10% is 11%. So to me, this signals a huge opportunity. And I think what I'm seeing, and I've seen this for years because, again, I've been teaching, we've been running our social media marketing company for 13 years, but I've been teaching in real estate marketing for about 20 years. And really, what I've seen is that for a lot of folks, getting business from social media almost seems like an accident, where somehow someone saw you on Facebook or they reached out to you or they were a friend of a friend, and it was exciting when it happens. It's like, oh, cool, I got a lead from Facebook, or cool, I got a lead from Instagram, but it may not have been totally intentional. So I'm a big believer. It's all about being intentional, right? You have to have a strategy. And without a strategy, you're just throwing something against the wall and hoping it sticks. And this is a great thing to share if you're sharing anything to social media. So feel free to take a picture of this and share it. And those of you who've been in real estate a long time, you know it's all about strategy, right? You can't just go, well, I'll try this out or I'll try that out and see if it works. And again, when it comes to social media, I also recognize that social media is one piece of the pie of everything you're doing, right? The average realtor is doing, dozens of things in their business in any given day. I don't think as an agent you need to become a influencer or content creator, but I think you need to have a plan and a strategy. So that is part of the goal of our time here together today. So let's first talk about Facebook, then we'll talk about Instagram, then we'll get into LinkedIn, and then we're going to talk about kind of putting a whole plan together. So the million-dollar question that I'm often asked is Facebook still relevant? And the reality is, and there's some stats here on the screen here, Facebook has over 3 billion active monthly users. It's the most used social network worldwide. 37% of everyone on Earth is using Facebook, and Facebook.com is the third most visited website in the world. So, as much as, yes, some people have left Facebook and are more on platforms like maybe Instagram or LinkedIn or things like that, for the most part, Facebook is still a really big platform for a lot of people. And there's kind of two sides of Facebook, right? You've got your personal profile and you've got your business page. And they operate similarly, but also differently. And I think the challenging thing with Facebook is, real estate by nature, real estate is a personal business. So, a lot of times I'll talk to an agent and they'll say, well, I've got my personal life over here on Facebook, and then I've got my business life over here on Facebook. And I like it that way. I want to keep it separate. And as much as I understand that and respect that, it's not always necessarily possible because residential real estate is such a personal business. So it doesn't mean you have to friend everybody, but I want to kind of talk about the nuances and where we are with Facebook right now in 2026. So let's first talk about your personal profile, okay? And then we'll talk about your business page. Your personal profile, again, you don't need to friend everybody, okay? This is one of my favorite quotes on the screen, by the way. This is by Jim Rohn, who's if you're not familiar with Jim, was a very famous keynote speaker, author. He says, "Only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have." I really look at the personal profile of a real estate agent as an opportunity to build relationships, to be a giver, to be a noticer. I talk to my two teenage boys all the time. Like I said, I have two teenage boys. They're 15 and 18. And I often will say to them, be a noticer. Be a noticer as you're out and about in the world. Notice what's going on. And I will say the same thing to you about Facebook, especially in your personal profile. There's a big opportunity for a realtor to be a noticer, to leave meaningful comments, to not just post and run, but to really connect with people. And so I've got 5 tips on the screen here of how you can leverage your personal profile for business. The first is don't be a secret agent. If I were to go to your personal profile right now, you want to make sure that your contact information, as well as the fact you are a realtor, is open to the public, right? You might have your personal profile kind of locked down. Maybe it's just for friends and family, and that's fine. But when you get Googled, and we all get Googled, Facebook's one of the first things that comes up. So especially if you have a common name, I want to be able to get a hold of you. I want to know what's your email, like, oh yeah, you're a realtor. What area are you in? So just you want to make sure your contact info, your market area is very, very clear and that part is open to the public. The second is the 80/20 rule. So 80% of what you talk about in your personal profile should be personal. It doesn't have to be what you had for breakfast, but it's things like your passions, your interests. You're out to dinner, you share a meal, you share a selfie with a friend, you share a beautiful sunset. And 20% can be business. And that 20% doesn't just have to be just listed, just sold. It could be a picture you take of your clients next to at the closing table as they're celebrating. It could be a picture of your clients in front of the sold sign. It could be, meeting a client for, breakfast or coffee. It could be, you leaving a sales meeting and you're fired up because such and such happened. There's a way to kind of talk about business without talking about business, right? So sort of this 80/20 rule. The third is I would encourage you to leverage reels, stories, and groups. And we'll kind of dig into more of these, but reels and stories, when you're on Facebook, when you're on your phone on Facebook, the first like 1/3 of your page are reels and stories. Stories last 24 hours. Reels are permanent. Reels are typically about a minute, minute and a half. And what a lot of people do, if they're active on Instagram and you're already posting Instagram stories or Instagram reels, you can cross post those to Facebook, either your personal profile or your business page. Stories give people a sense of who you are, kind of taking people behind the scenes. It's a little bit personal, a little bit business. And your reels, we find the reels that are typically most effective are reels that are helpful. They're sharing real estate tips or about the local community. They can be about your listings, but also content that's helpful about real estate, frequently asked questions, things like that. The fourth area is groups, and this is a big opportunity, especially with your personal profile. I'm sure a lot of you are part of different Facebook groups. There's probably thousands, if not millions, of Facebook groups on Facebook. And being a part of local Facebook groups is great. You can jump in. People will ask, hey, I'm looking for a contractor. I'm looking for a great plumber. And you can be that resource of, hey, I'm a local realtor. I know this market like the back of my hand. Here's 3 people I recommend. So being that local resource can be really helpful. Some agents run a private group. You might have a private group for your market area or your clients. That's fine also. And then the fifth opportunity, and if I were to pick anything out of this list, I think number 5 probably has the biggest impact, and that's this opportunity to highlight others, to be a noticer. So one of the ways we do this, I've been doing this for years. It's a really easy method called Focus 5. So Focus 5 simply means you take 5 minutes a day, you scroll through your Facebook feed, and you look for 5 posts that speak to you. Something that makes you laugh, something that's really interesting, and you take 5 minutes and you leave a meaningful comment. Now, a meaningful comment in the world of Facebook is a comment that's at least 4 words, okay? At least 4 words. So it's not just great pick or happy birthday, HBD. You say something meaningful, right? It might be, hey, happy birthday, Joe. What do you have going on today? Or Susie, I love that. That's an awesome picture. You guys just got back from vacation. Where did you stay? Do you see how that feels a little different? I use their name, I ask a question, and you say something meaningful. right? So taking a few minutes, not just to focus on content, but to focus on commenting, not just contenting, if that makes sense. Okay. This is your personal profile. I'll just give you a quick example here. This is a personal example of me and my husband. We bought our home 12 years ago, which is crazy. Time flies, and I had much shorter hair at the time. And I remember this day. Our boys were so little at the time. This was the day we got our keys. Our boys ran through the house and opened up all the closets. And I remember standing outside, and I handed my phone to our realtor. She took our picture. I put it on Facebook. And this picture to date has gotten more likes and more comments than just about anything I've ever shared on Facebook. And I think it's such a great reminder of the power of highlighting somebody else, right? So oftentimes I'll see on Facebook, a realtor will say, hey, three more deals closed this week, one more in escrow, whatever it might be. I just would encourage you to maybe flip the script. So maybe instead of, hey, got one more deal in escrow or, two more deals this week, maybe it's, hey, I had an opportunity to work with an amazing family and I can't wait to see what's next for them, right? It's just, it's less about you and more about them. And I think there's a lot of power. Now, if your clients are private and they're not on Facebook, obviously you're going to celebrate them in other ways, right? Ian says, so a meaningful post means asking a question. A meaningful post could mean a meaningful comment. I would say not a post. A meaningful comment is using their name, asking a question. A meaningful comment is about 4 or 5 words. So if you were to scroll through Facebook right now, the thing that's happening right now on Facebook and also Instagram is people aren't commenting. We have a lot of lurkers, okay? So people aren't liking content as much, they're not commenting as much. So if you can be the person that's writing a sentence or two and writing something meaningful, you are going to stand out tenfold. Not only are you going to stand out to that person, but you're going to stand out to anybody else who happens to see that post and comments on that post, right? And this works well, not just for your friends and family and clients, but imagine anyone else you're connected to on Facebook. Maybe you're connected to your local Little League and your local Little League posts its local schedule. And you're the one that says, oh my gosh, I am such a fan of Little League. Both my boys, we're huge into Little League, like so excited about the upcoming schedule, you know, can't wait to cheer on the local team. So the local Little League sees that you commented, and guess what? Every other parent who happens to see that local Little League also sees your comment. So lots of power in just being a noticer and saying something meaningful. So thank you for asking that, Ian. That's a great question. Let me know if you need any clarification on that. Another thing that definitely makes a big difference on Facebook right now, and this is actually a great segue, is being curious and asking questions. So we'll talk about video. Video is a very powerful thing, but also asking simple questions is a great way to kind of boost your engagement on Facebook. And I'm going to give you a quick tip here. So, and you can see here a screenshot. So Sam James is part of our Get Social Smart Academy. Sam said, I just listened to Katie Lance talk about posting text, especially on Facebook. I posted today, how long have you lived in your home? No picture or anything, just that sentence. The response has been amazing. I haven't had this much engagement before. So Sam went on her, I think it was her personal profile, and you can do this on your personal profile or your business page. And she asked a simple question. When you ask a simple question that people cannot help but answer, you're going to get a lot of comments. Now, notice she didn't say, are you looking to buy or sell your home? No, that's not a simple question, right? She said, how long have you lived in your home? This is an easy question anybody can answer. And you'll notice that there's no picture, there's no link, there's no call to action. Hey, call me today. It's just a question. And she also used that colorful background. You'll see here on the right-hand side, there's this, blue background. When you post to Facebook, you can pick a background, red or rainbow or whatever you want. When you ask a simple question, you'll get a lot of engagement. So you can see here, she had 68 comments on this post. And I would encourage you, this is an easy thing any of you could do today. Go on your Facebook page and ask, how long have you lived in your home? You'll get a lot of people who respond. The benefit to that is when you get a lot of comments on one post, that's a trigger to Facebook that people are engaging with your content, that people like your content. And so other content that you have posted is more likely to get seen now by other people. You're kind of like, pouring gasoline on your on your account and giving it a little bit of a boost. Now, it doesn't just have to be real estate related. You could ask something like, "Hey, what are you watching on Netflix these days? What are you binge watching right now? What book are you reading right now?" So when you ask something again that people can't help but answer, you're going to get a lot of engagement. Okay. So try this out today, and I would love to hear how this works. All right. The other thing that I don't think a lot of people realize that you can do on Facebook is you can manage your feed, right? Your Facebook feed right now, if you were to go into your Facebook feed, it's probably like a friend, somebody you don't know, an ad, a suggested post, another ad, somebody you haven't seen in 10 years, another ad, right? And a lot of people complain about the feed because it's not in chronological order. It's basically based on who you interact with, who Facebook thinks you would like to see. So you can actually manage your feed. You can actually kind of change how you look at your feed. When you're on Facebook, and this is just a screenshot of my phone. I have an iPhone, so your phone might look a little bit different. But when you're on Facebook and you open up Facebook and you click on your avatar, it might be on the bottom. For me, mine's on my bottom right, but yours might be on the bottom left. Your avatar might be on the top. When you click that and then you click a button that says feeds, you're going to see a few different options. So now you're able to look at your feed, not just your regular feed, but you're able to look at your favorites feed. Like if you clicked favorite on anything, maybe your favorite clients, your favorite restaurants, your favorite local businesses, you can favorite up to like 40 or 50 accounts on Facebook, which means they will naturally show up in your feed more often, but you can also just look at your favorites feed. So imagine taking some time to think about who have you worked with in the last 6 to 12 months, reaching out, seeing if they're on Facebook, connecting with them on Facebook, adding them to your favorites. And then when you're taking 5 minutes a day to do Focus 5, instead of just scrolling through your feed, you go right to your favorites feed. And you see your top 10 favorite clients, you see some of your favorite local businesses, and then you do your Focus 5 where you leave a meaningful comment looking at your favorites feed, right? Again, it's a way to be a little bit more intentional with your time. You can also look at your friends feed, which is just a feed of your friends. You can look at your groups feed, which is just a feed of your groups, or your pages feed as well. I would love to know if you guys knew about this. Let me know in the chat, yes or no, if you knew that you could do this on Facebook. Ian says, how often should you do this type of question only posts? I would say once or twice a month. I wouldn't do it all the time. Yeah, those posts where you ask something like, how long have you lived in your house or something, once or twice a month. Okay, so Leslie says no, Allie says no, Victoria says no, no, wasn't aware. Okay, lots of no's. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Stephanie, the screenshots are here. I would just say if you have your phone out, take a picture of this screen because this is exactly how you do it. You're going to open up Facebook. And on your phone, you're going to do this. And then again, at the bottom, you're going to look for your avatar or your photo of yourself. For me, mine is on my bottom right. Yours might be on the bottom right. Yours might be on the bottom left. Yours might be on the top. Like everyone's Facebook app looks a little bit different depending on like what phone you have. But once you click on that avatar, it's going to take you to this menu page. And this menu page will have Facebook Memories, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Dating, okay? And then one of them is feeds. And then when you click on feeds, that's where you're going to be able to access all your different feeds, right? Giovanni said yes. Awesome. So I'm telling you guys, this alone makes a big difference. You're going to be like, holy cow, where have these people been? I haven't seen these people in my feed in forever. So again, just a way to be intentional, right? Which is cool. My pleasure, Stephanie. Kimberly says you can't find it. All right. Well, Kimberly, I'll share my email at the end if you want to send me an email. In fact, I don't know if I can put this in the chat or not. Maybe I can put it in the chat. I'll drop my email in the chat. If you're lost on anything, just shoot me an email and we can chat afterwards. I can send you some screenshots or we'll help you out. We'll figure it out if you get lost. All right. So we've talked about not being a secret agent. We've talked about the 80/20 rule. We've talked about Focus 5. We talked about managing your feeds. Let's get into LinkedIn a little bit. Okay, let's get into LinkedIn, and then we're going to get into Instagram. My pleasure. So LinkedIn, and I know we could do a whole webinar just about Facebook. We could do a whole webinar about LinkedIn. Like we could spend probably all day, but I want to hit the high notes for all of you. Um, some go to their profile. Oh, okay, cool. Jack, thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn. LinkedIn for a lot of agents is kind of this like set it and forget it network where maybe you set it up at one point, but you haven't done a whole lot with it since. I feel like LinkedIn also gets sort of this reputation of just being like the place you go when you need a job, which it is a place you go when you need a job, but for real estate, LinkedIn is really one of the only professional social media places. It moves a lot slower than Facebook or Instagram. You know, we don't see a lot of cat videos on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is professional. This is a great place to start if you have not put your toe in the water anywhere with social media, it's a great place to start. But I would also say it's a great place to add on. If you've been really active on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn is a great third piece, third platform to add on. And one thing that's not on the screen right here is that one of the things to consider with LinkedIn is that the opportunities to connect with LinkedIn are pretty powerful, especially if you're trying to reach a high net worth individual. If you're trying to reach someone who is a CEO, a CMO, a senior VP of a company, those type of people often are not on Facebook. They are often not active on Instagram, but often you can find them on LinkedIn. So the networking opportunity, I think, is really, really powerful. Leslie said, I use LinkedIn as an executive recruiter, so it's hard to use both because I don't want people to know I do both. Ah, gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that is a little tricky when you're kind of balancing both at the same time. And you really can't have two different LinkedIn profiles. You're not really supposed to. I mean, I guess technically you could if you have two different emails, but it might get a little complicated that way. So let's go through some 5 tips for LinkedIn for real estate. Number one, don't be a secret agent. Just like Facebook, I want to be able to find you easily, right? If I put your name in, I want to be able to see what market area you're in. I want to know your email, your website, have that contact info readily available. The second thing is you want to optimize your profile. Now, there's a free version of LinkedIn and a paid version of LinkedIn. I have the free version. I think for most of you, the free version is fine. And when I say optimize your profile, you want to kind of take a hard look at your profile and really make sure that you've sort of answered the who, what, where, why, and how, right? Who are you? What do you do? What market area do you serve? Where do you work? Just all the who, what, where, why, and how, kind of like we learned in elementary school, is the kind of the best way to think about it. So you've got your name, you've got your skills, you've got your expertise. You can also add photos and videos. This is kind of the time to shine, to kind of brag a little bit about yourself. It's an opportunity to connect with colleagues and clients. A lot of people ask me, should I connect with other agents? I don't think there's a problem with that. I think it's fine to connect with other colleagues, other agents. As far as, a personal or company page, if you're an agent, you're going to have a personal page on LinkedIn. A company page is really, if you're a company, your brokerage, your office. I'm sure NCJIR has a company page, right? If you are a company with more than one person, you're going to have a company page. If you are a solo agent, you're going to have a personal page. If you're a team, you could probably have a company page. One thing that I love about LinkedIn, and we could do probably a whole webinar just about LinkedIn, but my tip number 5 on here is you can create a free LinkedIn newsletter. And we do this about once a week. You can go on to LinkedIn and it's absolutely free. I actually have a video on how to do this over on my YouTube. If you search Katie Lance on YouTube, I have a whole bunch of different videos on how to do a lot of this stuff. But you can create a free LinkedIn newsletter where you're putting out content that's going to people who are following you or who are connected to you on LinkedIn. So this is especially great if you are already doing some email marketing. Maybe you're already doing a monthly email newsletter. You could take that newsletter and also put that into LinkedIn and have that go out to your colleagues, your connections on LinkedIn. So a really powerful platform. I like to look at LinkedIn again. I think this is a great first place to connect with someone. When you have a lead, when you have someone who's come to your website to work with you, you're not going to go send them a Facebook friend request. But LinkedIn is kind of that easy next step. You might go to LinkedIn and say, hey, it's been great chatting with you. Love meeting with you at that open house. I'm happy so and so referred me to you. Would love to connect here on LinkedIn. It's that sort of professional next level of social media. So really powerful. Of course, then we have Instagram. Okay, so we've talked about Facebook, we've talked about LinkedIn, we've talked about Instagram. Now, Instagram and Facebook are both owned by Meta, so they're similar but different, right? Instagram has changed a lot. There's lots of different parts of Instagram. There's stories and reels and, your feed, there's Instagram Live, there's all different kinds of things. So, 5 things I would say focus on when it comes to Instagram. Number one, be thumb stopping. And what I mean by that is you want to grab people's attention, right? If you're putting out video content on Instagram, what you don't want to do is do something like, hey, everyone, I'm a realtor in New Jersey. And today I'm going to share with you. I've already scrolled past you, right? So a quick tip, and we'll get into this in our next class when we really dig into content creation, is when you are showing up on camera, get right into it. So if you're sharing a tip about the biggest mistake people make when moving to Morristown, say that. hey, this is the biggest mistake everyone is making when they move to Morristown. Hey, everyone, I'm Katie Lance. I'm a local realtor. Let me share with you that number one mistake. So you get right into it, right? And that is something that you get better at over the course of time. The only way you get better at showing up on camera and sharing tips and being your true self and being intentional and being authentic is you do a lot of it. So it's not just, I need to post a video. You got to do a lot of videos, and it's like a muscle over the course of time. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, which leads to leveraging stories, reels, carousel posts. So again, stories, just like Facebook stories, Facebook or Instagram stories are they last 24 hours. They're here today, they disappear in 24 hours. Stories are the best ways to get comfortable really fast on showing up on camera. So with your stories, what I found is, showing your behind the scenes. If you follow my Instagram stories, I start every day by sharing my coffee cup because I have a big coffee cup collection. I usually will kind of share in my backyard. If I'm thinking about something, I might share a thought of the day. I might share a picture of my cats. I might share a beautiful sunset. It's a little bit personal, a little bit business. But the more you show up on camera, the more you get used to looking at yourself, the better. I don't know if you ever get over it, so to speak, but you get to the point where you're like, I look how I look and I sound how I sound. It just is what it is. So we've got stories. I recommend posting your stories throughout the week. Reels, I recommend posting 1 or 2 reels a week. Again, a reel could be 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. They could be a little bit longer. I'll give you one tip for reels. I've said this for years. If I'm going to do my hair and makeup and record one reel, you better believe I'm going to record 4 or 5. So I set aside time once a month to batch create content. And this is not on the screen here, but this is just a side tip. Instead of social media becoming this thing, again, where it's, so you sort of bolt it onto your business and you hope you get leads from it, imagine setting aside 1 or 2 hours once a month where you record 4, 5, 6 videos all in one batch. You edit them all in one batch. You get them ready all in one batch. So you're ready to go. So if your plan is, okay, every Tuesday and Thursday you're going to post a new reel, you don't wake up Tuesday and go, gosh, I need to record something. No, you've got 4 or 5 videos saved on your phone or in your drafts, and now it's just a matter of which is the most relevant one you should post today, right? So you're giving your future self the gift of that. So leveraging stories, leveraging reels, and then carousel posts are doing really well right now on Instagram. Carousel posts are these sort of slideshow posts where it's multiple photos, multiple graphics. Some of you might use Canva for this. If you've got a listing, you might use multiple photos. What's interesting about carousel posts is when you post a carousel to Instagram, your post often shows up twice as often in the feed. So if I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see your post and it's a carousel post and I don't click on it, the next time I'm on Instagram, oftentimes Instagram will show me that same post again, but they'll show me the next slide in the carousel, not the first one. So we're seeing carousels show up oftentimes time and time again. Number 3, not surprising, but consistency, right? Consistency is the name of the game. Doesn't mean you have to post every day, but you pick a day and you stick to it. And a lot of this comes down to time. I've said this earlier, right? We think about focus 5, 5 minutes a day, scroll through your feed, leave a meaningful comment, like, comment, interact. Set aside some time on a weekly or monthly basis to create, batch create, edit content. A lot of this has to do with just getting it on your calendar. I don't know about you, but if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. And then optimize your bio and focus 5. So optimize your bio. You have very limited real estate, so to speak, on Instagram. You only have about 150 characters. So make sure you indicate who you are, what brokerage you're with. Double check with your broker or your MLS. Some of you might be required to list like your department or real estate number, list your market area. You can have a link or two in there to indicate who you are and what you're all about. Ian asks, how often should you post carousels? I think it just depends. I would say, depending on what they are, again, probably once or twice a month, I think is fine. It just kind of depends on what the carousel is. If you've got a lot of new listings, carousels are great for listings because you can add multiple photos. If you're doing some sort of like educational post where you're sharing some sort of educational tip, yeah, once or twice a month, I think is great. Awesome. Good questions. Okay, so we've talked about Facebook, we've talked about LinkedIn, we've talked about Instagram. I want to share a couple screenshots here, just a quick example here. So Amy Walling Carroll, she is a dear friend of mine. She is a realtor out in I believe she's in Tampa, in the Florida area. She's a great one to follow on Facebook and also Instagram, specifically Instagram. She puts out a lot of great content. And she said, I've been having some great conversations on my Instagram stories recently. I find that conversations build relationships, and relationships are what leads to opportunity. It's like people remember the point of social media is to be social. I love when this happens because opportunities arrive, right? It's all about having those conversations. And I responded, I said, I love that. You're so spot on. What a great way to phrase it. Conversations build relationships, and relationships lead to opportunities. That's huge. And then she responded and said, it's the secret sauce. It always amazes me when an agent follows me and I reach out with a message that one of the first things they say to me is they're looking for referral partners. Why would we refer business if we don't even know each other? Same goes for agents who want to find customers on social. It doesn't happen with a few feed posts. This stuff takes time. You have to build the know, like, and trust factor. It's a long game. And I know there's a lot of text on the screen here, but I think that this is just so important because I think a lot of times we think, how many times do I have to post, all right, until I get a lead? And it just doesn't happen that way. It often happens because you've posted, consistently, you posted stories, you shared a little bit of business, a little bit of personal. And I would say sharing a little bit about who you are personally also does make a big difference. And also being a noticer, not just being the person who jumps in, oh, I have an open house and then bails, right? It's noticing, oh, you went on a great vacation. Oh, you just got a job promotion. Oh, you went to a great restaurant. That is amazing. What's your favorite glass of wine? Oh, that's a great cup. Oh, where did you go for that? Like that curiosity. First of all, people notice that, right? Being a noticer. And not only that, oftentimes small conversations about a cup of coffee, about, taking a walk, going to the gym, small conversations often lead to big conversations. This happens often. And a lot of times the leads happen in the DMs. They happen in the direct messages because you've been sharing stories, you've been, posting, you've been creating, kind of creating some curiosity. People say, "Oh my gosh, I love your dog. Oh, I love that you take a walk every day. Oh, I love that you do this." My mom is thinking of selling her house right now. Do you think now is a good time? Small conversations often lead to big conversations, especially on social media. Um, thank you, David. I noticed that too. I appreciate that. So that's what it's all about. Small conversations lead to big conversations. And relationships are built with these small, tiny interactions over the course of time. Every like, every share adds up. And this is a great thing to share if you're sharing anything to social media. So feel free to take a picture of this. But this is just like in real life. When we meet someone for the first time and then we realize our kids go to the same school and then we run into them at the grocery store and then we become friends on Facebook, it's the same thing that happens over the course of time. And it's also one of the reasons why when it comes to social media, you need to show up personally. I have a lot of agents who, even still in 2026, will say things like, oh, I wish you could do it for me. I wish I could just have someone do it for me, which I totally get. But at the end of the day, social media is social. And real estate, again, is one of the biggest financial decisions of someone's life. It's right up there with getting married, having kids, buying a home. And when we think about relationship building and social media, I look at social media as like the ultimate dinner party. Imagine having a dinner party with your 10 most important clients, and instead of you being there, you have your assistant run the whole show. We would never do that, right? But that's kind of what happens if you hand off your voice to somebody else. That's also why if you've ever paid for a service that is posting for you, that's why it probably hasn't really worked very well for you. The content was probably pretty good. It was probably really professional, but you probably didn't get a whole lot of business from it because it wasn't personalized to you and who you are. And a big part of social isn't just what you're posting. It's being a noticer, it's commenting, it's connecting, it's also responding to comments. So remember earlier I talked about asking a simple question on Facebook, right? That question of, hey, how long have you lived in your home? Or what are you reading right now? Or what are you watching on TV? When you ask a simple question and you get 10, 20, 30, 50 comments, I'm going to encourage you to go back and comment back to as many of those people as possible. Because when you comment back to someone on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on really any platform, that's a trigger to those platforms that there's a conversation happening in the comments and that people should see your content. Have you noticed this on Facebook? If you open up Facebook right now and scroll through your phone, there you're going to see posts from today, but you're definitely going to see posts from like 4 or 5 days ago or a week ago. And the reason is because there's still a conversation happening in the comments. So again, just a small, tiny thing. It shouldn't take, we don't want to get sucked into, doom scrolling, but put it on your calendar, 5 or 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day at the most, and be intentional, right? Makes a big, big difference. Okay, so we've talked about Facebook, we've talked about LinkedIn, we've talked about Instagram. Let's talk about kind of creating a smart social media and content plan. I've got about 15 or 20 minutes left here. So, a few tips on the screen here. Number one, time block daily, weekly, and monthly. I recommend setting aside 5, 10, 15 minutes a day where you're going to focus five. You're going to respond to your comments, respond to your DMs, just on a daily basis. Okay. On a weekly basis, set aside an hour or so where you can post. You might schedule some content. Uh, you might create some content. And then on a monthly basis, I really recommend setting aside a big chunk of time, a couple hours once a month, where you're going to create a lot of content. You might edit your content, schedule some of your content, and, again, sort of give your future self the gift of that. The second tip I would give you is focus on pillar content. So, pillar content is not the kind of content that's going to make you go viral. Pillar content is content in your voice with your opinion, your personality. It's often content that is like frequently asked questions. So, if you get asked a question more than once, if you get asked something and you're like, if I get asked this one more time, that's a great piece of pillar content, right? And that's a piece of content you can post on Facebook, Instagram. I have an example here of my YouTube channel. You can post it on multiple platforms. The other thing with pillar content is a lot of times it's evergreen or timeless. So you can post it today, and guess what? You can repost it 3 months from now or 6 months from now. You can repost it. The third tip is get organized. However, whatever is the simplest way for you to get organized. I love a good notebook. I use my phone a lot. I keep it really simple. But get organized. You might use some folders on your phone. You might use, Google Sheets or Google Docs. You might use the Notes app on your phone. But get yourself into a simple system that's going to work for you. Get consistent. Pick a couple days that you're going to post. Get it on your schedule. It's a lot easier for you to have a weekly routine where you're like, okay, it's Tuesday, I'm posting today, than try to reinvent it every week. If you can get yourself into a weekly routine that you can rinse and repeat every week, that's going to help you tremendously. And then number five, focus on building relationships, right? Again, focus on being a good finder, being intentional, sharing posts from time to time. Think about your own experience. When you post something, when you get a like or comment, that's great. But think about how you feel when someone shares your post or shares your content. It's like, oh, wow, like someone shared it. So, as you're taking your 5 or 10 minutes a day, you might look for opportunities to share something. Maybe your local Rotary Club is doing something really cool. Share that. Maybe your local school district, your local Little League, your local soccer league. That's a great opportunity to share something, especially if it's meaningful to you. Give them a shout out, right? Be a noticer. Definitely makes a big difference. I would encourage you to, when you think about content, create content not just to promote you, but content your ideal client wants. I find that a lot of times with realtors, the content is we tend to use acronyms that we all know, right? MLS, SOI, CRM. You want to think about, how does a client ask you something? And one of the best ways to do this is to look in your email. Scroll through your emails, scroll through your client emails, and look at how people ask you things, and if you can create content using some of the phrases, using some of the way someone says something, that's going to resonate with people. People are going to say, "Oh my gosh, I just feel like you know me. I feel like you're in my head. I see you everywhere." Like, that's one of the ways to really get your content to resonate with people, is to see how is the average consumer, how are they asking that about you? A couple other things I want to share here. So I shared this on my last webinar, but if you weren't on that webinar or you didn't get a chance to get this, make sure you download this. This is a free content grid that we've put out for years. We've had thousands of agents download this over the years, and we updated this recently. So if you go to katielance.com/content grid, this is going to help you tremendously. I'm going to see if I can just drop this link in the chat here, just so you guys have it. When you get to this link, let me put this link in the chat. When you click on this link, it's going to ask for your name and email. Put that in, and then this will get sent to your phone, and it'll also get sent to your email. This is about a 7 or 8 page PDF that has like a spreadsheet. It's going to give you a blank spreadsheet. It's going to give you a bunch of ideas in terms of like strategy and putting together a content plan. To be honest with you, the way a lot of agents use this is when they're sitting down once or twice a week to create or post content, they will pull up the content grid, they'll print it out, and they've got, 30 or 40 ideas right in front of them, so they're ready to go, to make it quick and easy. The reason why all of this is important is especially showing up with content is because the leads you get from great content are so much better. And by great content, I don't mean like Oscar-worthy content. I mean content where we hear you and we see you. The leads you get from that are so much better. Because what happens over the course of time, when you show up, when we hear you, when we see you, and you're sharing a helpful tip, you're sharing your hot take, you're sharing something that no other realtor in your area maybe is sharing, you're sharing your own personal experience, people start to say things like, "Oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. I feel like I know you. I feel like you're in my head." And when those people are ready to work with you, they're ready to work with you. They're not shopping around, they're not calling 12 different realtors. No, they know you or they think they know you. And now it's up to you to decide if you want to work with them. And it's the difference between attracting business versus chasing leads. Attracting versus chasing. And I can just tell you from experience, it's a pretty awesome way of doing business. Now, the other thing you can do is you can use AI like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever tools you're using for AI to generate social media content ideas. And when we look at what agents and brokers are using AI for, especially when it comes to social media, these are kind of the top five. And I have a little video on here. I'm not going to this isn't an actual video I'm going to play, but I want to point out, I think I mentioned this earlier. I have a YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and search Katie Lance, I'm the only Katie Lance who's talking about social media and real estate. I have a lot of different playlists. So I have a whole playlist on Facebook, a whole playlist about AI tools. So just wanted to point that out. If there's something I'm talking about today that you kind of wished I went deeper on, I probably have a playlist about that over on my YouTube channel. But one of the things we're seeing agents and brokers use social media, ChatGPT, AI for are things like video scripts, ideas, questions. If they're doing an interview, maybe they're highlighting their local lender and they're looking for some questions to ask. Again, ideas for reels or stories, helping them create a social media or content plan, AI images, especially with Canva. But there's all other tools that will create AI images as well. Again, I think it goes without saying, anytime you use AI, and I've been saying this a lot recently, we've been doing a ton of AI training, and AI is great at creating a first draft, right? It's great at creating a first draft. Do not just copy and paste and blindly copy and paste into social media or Facebook or wherever. I think we are all at the point where when we're scrolling, we can tell. We can tell if someone has just kind of like dialed it in and like, ah, that's ChatGPT, right? That doesn't really sound like them. And and honestly, and this might be controversial to say, but when it comes to showing up on video, I want to see you on camera. I don't want to see the AI version of you. I want to see you. Wrinkles, gray hair, I want to see it all. Because again, it goes to that know, like, and trust factor. So I definitely think there's a role for AI. I think we need to look at how how our business runs and are there ways to speed up the process to help us be more efficient. And then when it comes to social media, these are some of the things, of course, that we're seeing. Video content's big. We're going to really get more into this into our next class, but one of the reasons why video is still so powerful is most people retain 95% of the message in a video compared to only 10% of what they read in text. So again, showing up doesn't have to be Oscar worthy. Um, all the video I create, I use my phone. I don't use a selfie stick. I have my arm. I do have a tripod I often will use sometimes. Sometimes I'll use a light. But I really believe when it comes to video, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. We are at a stage right now where a lot of us relate more to just the, relatability of an unpolished video. You look how you look and you sound how you sound. So one of the ways to improve your videos, and I kind of jokingly said this earlier about how you don't want to like introduce yourself in the beginning of the video, a couple of things that does make a big difference, and this is helpful for Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or really any platform, have a hook, meaning just start with whatever the video is about. Do you need to? Have you ever felt like this? Just kind of starting with whatever it is that you're talking about. The best thing you can do is dot, dot, dot. And then having some sort of easy call to action at the end. Instead of, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? It's, hey, do you agree? Like and comment below. Like and follow for more tips. Save this for future reference. So just asking for a simple, hey, what do you think? Like and comment below. Is this helpful? Let me know in the comments below. Having a simple call to action, again, you're going to get more engagement, more interaction, more traction, more people are going to see your content, and it's a win-win. And ultimately, getting on camera answers this question: what does it feel like to work with you? So often I'll go on an agent or broker's Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, and honestly, the biggest thing that's missing is them. I have no idea what they look like or what they sound like or what they're all about. And, something to think about is if I were to go on your page right now, and if I were to take the logo off of your posts, would I still know it's you? Would I still know it's you? And this is why, again, sometimes if we are hiring someone else to do social for us, the content is okay, but it's often not as personal as if you're showing up, right? It's the difference between like, oh, here's a link to a market report about what's going on in New Jersey versus you saying, here's a report from NCJR, and let me tell you what this means here in, such and such town. Let me tell you exactly what this means in our neighborhood here, and you're showing up and you're sharing your expertise, right? It's just more personal, which is key. Repurpose your content. I'm a big believer of not just one and done. If you're going to post it to Facebook, you might as well cross post it to Instagram. And if you're on LinkedIn, post it over there. You can turn video content. You can get your videos transcribed, turn it into blog posts. And again, nowadays with tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the AI tools, this makes repurposing content so much easier. I think oftentimes we think, I don't know if I should put content on all these different platforms. Is that annoying? Will people see it? We're really at the point right now where people do not see all of your content. Even people who know and love you the most do not see all your content. So it's okay to repurpose, repackage, stand out in a sea of sameness. And one of the ways we stand out in a sea of sameness is by showing up, by being intentional, by sharing your personality, your opinion. I always say lean into who you are and who you're not. I have a good friend of mine who often says, she says, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I might be somebody's shot of tequila, right? You may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you might be someone's shot of tequila, right? So stand out. That is the key. A few more slides here. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We've got about 7 minutes left. I will say it's not about getting thousands of followers. It's about getting the right followers. You don't have to, again, become the next influencer. One of my favorite books on change is Who Moved My Cheese? I would imagine a lot of you read this. I read this probably 20 or 30 years ago. It's a great reread. It's not about social media. It's about change. It's about a little mouse whose cheese got moved. And we've all had our cheese moved, especially in the last few years. So, what is that saying? The only constant in life is change. Another great book I always recommend is Smart Brevity. Less is more. Again, as everyone is starting to sound the same because they're all using ChatGPT, how do you stand out in a sea of sameness? How do you write more succinctly in your emails and your social media and in any of your content? I read this book last year. I also listened to the audiobook. So if you're an audiobook person, you might like this as well. This is just a great book on being more concise and more clear and more persuasive with the words that you say with your copywriting. A few recommended tools and apps. I already mentioned Canva. I love this for any kind of graphics. For video editing, I love CapCut or Descript. Those are kind of my two go-to that I use. And by the way, I post, create, and edit all my own content. And the only way I'm able to do this is by having a system, right? So getting a system for creating content as well as editing content. Meta Business Suite is great for scheduling some content, especially if you're just looking at Facebook and Instagram. It's free. Repurpose.io I have used for years. This is a great tool to repurpose content, to take a piece of content and repost it somewhere else. And then ChatGPT or Gemini, there's lots of great AI tools that are out there, but having some sort of AI tool to help you in terms of, repurpose the content, coming up with ideas, coming up with that first draft, definitely, definitely key. Last two things as we get to the end here today. Number one, take the online offline. You go on Facebook today and you see it's someone's birthday. You could be one of the 50 people that writes on their page, Happy birthday, HBD, or you could be the one person that calls them or texts them or sends them a video message. Take the online offline. I think especially nowadays with the amount of noise that's on social media nowadays, I think there is a big opportunity to take that online offline. And then my last slide, I want to make sure I shared that content grid. I shared that earlier about the kind of a few minutes ago, but if you did not get a chance to download this, make sure you scan that QR code. Or you can go to katielance.com/content grid. Put your name and email in there. We will send this to you. This is a great companion to this entire series because we're talking all about getting smarter with social media, being intentional, staying organized. So this is really one of the first big things. It's free, and that'll help you tremendously. I also have my email on the screen and my social media, so would love to connect with you guys. And we've got just about 5 minutes left. So I would love to know in the chat, what did you think of today's class? Did you enjoy it? Did you get some ahas? Let me know in the chat what your thoughts are, what you liked about it. Would also love to hear any questions. So if you have any questions or anything specific you want to ask me, you can ask me anything. If I don't get to your question or you would rather just email me directly, you can email me at katie@katielance.com. I answer all my own email. I'm happy to get back to you, or you can always send me a DM. I'm at Katie Lance, basically everywhere on Instagram. I'm going to drop my Instagram in the chat just so you guys can have that, just in case any of you would like to connect over on the gram. I'm just looking at the chat. Fritz says, thank you. Amazing. Thank you. Randy says it went by too fast. Yes, I know. We packed a lot in. Um, and Nalaka says, awesome, need to figure out how to get to that Facebook menu page. Okay, yes. It definitely has changed for a lot of folks. I'm going to pull up, in fact, Facebook just did an update recently. I'm going to see if I can pull up on my phone really fast my Facebook page because I know it's just changed. Like, literally, like right as I was about to go live, I was like, I think it changed again, which is so, so annoying. Yes. Okay. So what you can do is when you're on Facebook, um, instead of clicking on your avatar, I'm going to zoom in really quick. I'm on my page right here. There's these three little lines. When you go to your profile page and you click those three little lines, that should take you to this menu page. Okay. So I think originally I said click on the avatar. Facebook did an update. You gotta love when Facebook changes. So again, I don't know if you guys can see this, but just click on those three little lines on your phone, and that should take you to the menu. And one of those options on the menu should be feeds. So thank you, Karen. Stephanie says very informative. Yay, my wheels are turning. Good. Thank you, Sylvia and Nikki, Jack, Carol. Awesome. Yay. Thank you, Giovanni. Fantastic. All right. Well, I am going to turn it back to Ella. I don't know if she has anything else as we get to the end here today. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for being here today. This has been awesome. And big thanks to NCJAR for having me back. This is so fun.
Thank you so much, Katie. So for the recording, we will send those out to you guys and as well as the presentation. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us at info@ncjar.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait until our next class. I don't have that date right in front of me, but I know it's coming up probably in a few weeks. So I'm sure you guys will get an email about it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.